listening to The Final Score with Stevie Fly.
What's up, guys? Final Score back again. Haven't done an episode in a while. We've been meaning to get back on track, and today's the day. It is Monday, July 13th. It's about a little after 1. Just finished a good lunch. And, guys, I've been talking about getting people on here to bounce uh, my ideas and what I think about certain things, my opinions on certain things up here, because it's not fun doing it by yourself. I mean, nobody's there to fuss with you, to argue with you. And believe me, let me tell you, first of all, before I go any further, when I say argue or fuss with, it's not like I'm hating these people. I just don't agree with what they say. And everybody, if everybody agreed and had the same opinion, it'd be a boring place in this world. But today, for the first time, we've been talking about this for a couple of years now, at least. With me today, and look, there's another reason. One reason I got him on here, Tennessee Titans fan, and I'm gonna tell you, there is not many Tennessee Titans fans around here. So when I found out that this guy was a Tennessee Titans fan, I said, I'm penciling him for favorite Titans. So today, joining us on the Final Score, Mr. Casey Fleet. What's up, buddy?
What's up, man? You doing all right?
Yeah, everything's good here. Hope everything's good your way over in the big Ahoskie area. I just left over there, matter of fact. So got me a little Subway, and I was ready to go. So Tennessee Titans. You're originally from Tennessee, right?
Yes, I am. I'm from just west of Nashville, about an hour and a half west of Nashville. So I wasn't too far from Nashville.
Okay, so when they came to Tennessee, I'm sure you were born then, but was that? How old were you when they came? By the way, because
it was in '97 when they came to Tennessee. So I was born in '86. That tells how old I am.
You were right in that age where football sports is the thing. So
I was playing and
that had to be really exciting for you.
Yep, it was. It was an exciting time.
Yeah, because we, when I was a kid growing up, the closest team you had was the Redskins. And all my family were Redskin fans, except for me, which you see my Steelers helmet back there. So me and my cousin were somehow, both of us, we were 2 weeks apart. Somehow we both were Steelers fans, and the rest of them were Redskins fans. So I don't know how that happened, but I've been with them for all these years. But
it's a good choice.
Well, some people say that unless you're a Ravens fan or maybe a Patriots fan,
or a Titans fan.
I don't know about that.
We have just as long a history of a rivalry as y'all do with your own.
Well, if you go back to the Oilers deal, now, yes, you're exactly right. I'm going to throw this up here. I don't know if you can see that.
Oh, yeah.
Jack Ham. If you go back to when they were the Houston Oilers, that was a huge rivalry in the 70s.
Yep.
2 AFC championship games. And
in the first few years in Tennessee, we was in y'all's division.
Yeah.
Before the expansion, before the Texans,
Yeah, because that was the old division. AFC Central.
Yeah, that's when we started the stomping the terrible towels and stuff like that. You remember
what happens when everybody does that, don't you? It doesn't work out too well for people.
No, that was actually Lindell White and Chris Johnson.
Yeah, Lindell. I remember. I didn't know Johnson. I knew Lindell White did it, but I didn't know Johnson did it. But
he was on the team. Yeah.
Ask T.J. Hushmanzada about that, about shining with it. Yeah, and what happened in that playoff game. But because I remember looking back on it now. I mean, as a kid, I don't remember it, but looking back on it now, with the Steelers and the Oilers, legendary Oilers coach Bum Phillips.
Yeah.
Wade Phillips' dad, for all of you out there that don't remember that far back. But Bum Phillips said he thought there was only one team that could beat the Steelers, and that was the Houston Oilers.
Yep.
If the Oilers had beat the Steelers in the AFC Championship games, you might have seen the Oilers with a Super Bowl championship.
Yep.
With that team they had, man, I've actually had one of those Oilers on the podcast. We played middle linebacker, Greg Bingham.
Okay.
He was on the podcast when we first started. Great guy. He talked a lot about the Steelers rivalry, about going up against Mike Webster. But, man, Earl Campbell, jeez, I remember that as a kid. Now, even as a 6-7-year-old guy, watching that guy run, that guy ran scary.
He was crazy.
Big as he was, number 34, I just remember the Monday Night Football game against Miami where they tore his jersey off and he kept on running.
He just kept going.
Kept going. They didn't have the jerseys like they did now. These jerseys tore, and then he just kept right on going. But great rivalry there with Houston and Pittsburgh. Maybe going back to that second AFC Championship game, I know the Oilers fans still say Mike Renfro caught that pass and was not juggling the ball.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but anyway, it is what it is. But yeah, today we're going to talk. We're going to talk with Casey about some current sports stuff, and then me and him will go on and talk about our favorite Titans of all time, and I'm sure that should be interesting to see with the Oilers and the Titans together. That's part of their history. And I'm going to tell you this, guys. When you look at the old AFC Central, you had the Browns, you had the Oilers,
Yep.
you had the Steelers, the Bengals. The Jaguars came in as the AFC Central was getting ready to go away. So that was a tough division, especially back in the day. And it still is a tough division. It's one of those, as much as I hate the Ravens, they are so much like us as far as physical and all that stuff. But man, I'm ready for football. I mean, I've got my Lindy's. People think I'm stupid, Casey, because everything is online. You can find everything online, but I still go out and buy the NFL preview like I did when I was a kid. I still have all of those sitting down there. But anyway, let's get right into it. One of the main things we wanted to talk about, we've been trying to get this between me and Casey's schedule. It didn't work out, but one of the big stories in the last couple of weeks here, and it's hit home with me and with Casey because Casey being a Titans fan, me being an ECU fan, Chris Johnson.
Yeah.
A couple of weeks ago, I was doing the ECU, the Sports Objective podcast on Sunday night. Word started coming out that Chris Johnson was going to be on Good Morning America the next day. And that throws up a red flag.
Yep.
To me. I mean, because I'm like, something's up. He just doesn't announce that, but never in a million years did I think what was coming was coming. I mean, with the Chris Johnson announced that he had been diagnosed with ALS or Lou Gehrig's disease, as some people know it as, and he was diagnosed late last year, in the last half of last year, and it has progressed so much. The scary part was seeing when I watched and I see him sitting there.
Yeah.
And first thing that hit me is he's in a wheelchair.
Yep.
Next thing was when, Michael Strahan did a great job with interviewing. He's talking to him, and when Chris Johnson talks back, Chris Johnson, he's not talking. He's
not moving.
It's coming through his, what I think eye gaze, I think is what they call it.
Yeah, the machine.
It's through a machine. And I'm like, gosh, this has really came quick on him.
Yeah.
What were your first thoughts when you see that interview, Casey?
When I first seen it, I thought the video was froze.
Yeah.
I had actually, no joke, I had seen it and I was like, the video froze because he's talking. And I didn't want to not believe that he was not moving, but believe that he was not moving. and he was, having to talk that way. And then, of course, I watched all of it, and it hit me that, man, he can't move.
Yeah.
It's surreal to remember him as he was on the field and to see him like that.
Yeah, it's one of the fastest guys we've ever seen in football.
Yep.
4.24 in the 40 at the combine. But man, to see and to hear him talk about how less than a year ago, and they showed the picture of him picking up his daughter for a 7-year-old birthday party. He's like,
Yep.
This is how fast it's gone to me that I could do this in, I think it was August or September last year. And now I can't even move.
Yeah, it was definitely disheartening to see that. Knowing, like we said, knowing the speed, knowing the player, knowing how great he was. I mean, you're talking about the 4.24. There's only been a couple players beat that since.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is Chris Johnson's always said, well, if his was more official like theirs was, he don't think they beat him. Because they changed the way they do the 40 time from when he did it. And they said when he was at ECU, they said that they were clocking him all the time at 4.18. And that guy was blazing speed. I remember when the Titans drafted him. It was in the first round, 24th pick, and we were like, who? I mean, everybody was like, as one of those picks, the Titans in those years, we'd made picks that people scratched their head at, like Locker and, stuff like that. And Chris Johnson was one of those picks that a lot of us was like, who is the guy? And whenever we had got him, all we knew was speed. That's all we knew was speed. And man, when he hit the field, he was speed, vision, elusiveness, and could run guys over. He would get in the secondary and run over secondary players, and it's wild to see that. Go back and watch his highlights and see how great of a player he was. Running safeties have angles on him. Corners have angles on him, and he could just look at them and point and just run them, run right away from them.
Yeah. It
was unbelievable.
He of course, his ECU career went from 2004 to 2007, and he burst on the scene. Career highlights, almost 3,000 rushing yards, 24 touchdowns, all-purpose yards. Man, he's close to 7,000. He's got 6,993 all-purpose yards, first in ECU history. Kickoff return yards, 2,715. And, ECU fans knew about how special he was because he could do a little bit of everything. Like I said, returning kicks, he could catch out of the backfield. And if you got him, the biggest thing was get the ball in his hands. If you got the ball in his hands, there's a chance something was going to happen.
Yes, sir.
Whether it was handing the ball off to him, throwing the ball to him. But, man, his introduction to the rest of the country was at the Hawaii Bowl against Boise State.
Yeah.
Where he set the record with all-purpose yards in the bowl, get 403 all-purpose yards. He just went off. And then, you talk about you guys not knowing who when you got picked them. But the thing is, with some of these football players, and in any sport, when you get this hot streak, if you get this hot streak going at the right time and the right people see it, and you do it on a national stage like he did it, with that Hawaii Bowl, that performance on, and then going to the combine and running that 4.24 40.
Which was the record at the time.
Yeah, at the time. And you can't. One thing you can't teach. You can't teach speed.
Nope.
And when this guy's got speed, and he had vision. He just, talking to one of his teammates on the podcast we did the other night, Brandon Sims was like, you just wouldn't believe some of the things he could do. He said some of the things he did on the practice field that people didn't see was amazing. As amazing as he was during a game, but some of the things he did on the practice field was amazing to him. But yeah, and like you said, he would try to run over people too, and he would do it.
Yeah, he would lower his shoulder and go through them if he had to. Yes, he would.
And I think that kind of surprised some of these people because they were figuring it's fast. This is a guy's fast. He's not going to put his shoulder down and try to go into me. But, yeah, that didn't happen. But Chris Johnson, man, and then goes on to have a stellar career with the Titans. Now my computer wants to switch over. I don't know if I froze up on you or not.
No, you're good. I got you.
But, I saw when he got picked for the Titans. I know Pittsburgh played him a few times, and I hated to pull against him. But man, what's one of the games that you remember most about him with the Titans? We talked about ECU, the Hawaii Bowl. That was probably the one I remember him most for. As
probably, funny enough, probably the game that he and Lindell White had they had over 300 yards rushing between the two of them. I mean, they were just – and that, Lindell White, they complimented each other. They actually were called smash and dash.
Yeah.
And then the two in Carolina tried to take that, and they just couldn't – they just wasn't smash and dash like Chris Johnson, Lindell White. But, I mean, they ran for 300 and something yards that game, and Chris Johnson just set a tone. I mean, when he was running the way he did, the defense was exhausted because they're trying to run this guy down. So they do that. Lindell White comes in. If he gets a block, if he broke past the line and got to the second level, Lindell White was taking them to the house, because everybody was so tired. And it was just amazing what Chris Johnson did and how much better he made the team around him because of his speed and stuff. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, with them two, you had change of pace. You could put Chris Johnson. And I always liked that. There was a few years coaching. I had teams with a lot of players. I could platoon I could have a fast backfield, and then once I got them going, I'd do a change of pace and have the power backfield. But Lindell White was used to that. He had, college, man, he had you go from having Reggie Bush in the backfield with you in college and then having Chris Johnson in the backfield as a pro. I mean, he was used to that because just like you said, you get used to that pace with Chris Johnson. They put Lindell White in, and Lindell White, he had some speed, but he was more physical.
He would bruise you. Yep, he was.
So you're gonna really mess the defense up that way. I like that kind of because the Steelers used to do the same thing. I remember one year with the Steelers, they had Eric Pegram, who had come over from the Atlanta Falcons. I think this was 96 or 97. 96. They would start him and run him for like a quarter and a half. And then next thing you know, Jerome Bettis is in there.
Here come Bettis. Yep.
Yeah. Those were the good old days. I would love to go back to those days as far
I'm like that too. I like defense and ground and pound. I like good run game. Yeah.
So as a Titans, okay, let's go ahead and talking about the Titans while we got you on the subject. You got a quarterback. You got a young quarterback there now. He's in the second year, coming off an injury. Yep. Cam is going to be back. And what's your outlook for this year with the Titans?
I think we are going to shock a whole lot of people. And not just because I'm a Titans fan, because we've made every change necessary from a total revamp of a coaching staff. We actually have a coach now. Brian Callahan, I wasn't happy about the hire from the beginning because his thing was going to try to change us to more of a passing team, and I didn't like that. Sella comes in, and Sella says he sells it first and foremost by telling them, y'all have Jeffrey Simmons. This program needs to build around Jeffrey Simmons. And Sella did that. I mean, we brought in May, we brought in Johnson. People don't realize that Jeffrey Simmons is the number one pass rush defensive tackle in the NFL by far. And then you bring in May, which is the number 3 defensive pass rushing defensive tackle. And then we brought in 2 of the top cornerbacks in free agency and drafted a lot of D. So I think our defense is fixing to be a force.
Can you tell Sellers a defensive-minded coach with
yes,
what he's
sir.
bringing in here?
I was shocked. I mean, we were shocked because, as Titans fans, we thought, well, they're gonna fix some parts of defense, but then they're going to focus on the line because the line's been bad the past few years.
Yeah.
And then they're going to focus on trying to get, help for Cam. And what's weird is they were able to do both by basically totally revamping the defense. And, we've got a 2 head coaches on our coaching staff, and Brian DeBall, I think, is going to be a great addition for Cam Ward.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he did help Josh Allen develop. People forget that, So
people see with the ball, they're thinking about the Giants time. They don't remember. It's not. And I've said this a million times, and I know you have too. Sometimes some guys are great coordinators, but not good head coaches.
Yeah.
And some guys are great head coaches, but not so great at the coordinator. So I mean, that could be the most thing. He could be a better coordinator than a head coach. So
both Sella and DeBall coached the New York team. Who wants to coach a New York team? Those teams are they're not built for victory.
I'll tell you this. I was going to say, Sella, you put him in there with the Jets, and the Jets are fastly approaching the Cleveland Browns for the team most likely to screw up a 1-car funeral.
It's the truth, Stevie.
Cleveland Browns, I've been there for years. I've said it. Everybody will come up and tell me year after year, Cleveland's going to be a good team this year. And I will say, and then no matter what they put out there, I said, no, they're not.
No, you're right.
They're going to screw it up somehow, some way. They always do. The best season Cleveland had in years, or the best thing that's happened to Cleveland in years, was Kevin Costner in the movie Draft Day. That's the only thing that's gone right for Cleveland in years.
That's the truth. I mean, they had Baker Mayfield, for crying out loud.
Oh,
man.
my God. And look, I can't stand the Browns. Can't stand them. But when Baker Mayfield was out there, I was like, man, I envy the Browns, which we have been then too, but I envy the Browns for having that guy. And this is just how the Browns work, though. You got a guy that goes out there, plays a whole season with his non-throwing shoulder in a freaking harness.
Yep.
Trying to throw the ball. And granted, his throwing shoulder won it, but it's going to affect your throwing. And he was still out there running and trying to run people over. You don't get that kind of player, Casey.
He's incredible. And just to back what Stevie's saying here about New York and Cleveland, we can sit here and say that he's 100% correct because both teams sent a star franchise quarterback to the Carolina Panthers.
Yep.
And the Carolina Panthers couldn't do nothing with either one of them.
Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield.
And Baker Mayfield. One come from Cleveland and one come from the Jets.
Exactly. The Panthers couldn't do anything with them, though. And talking about going back a little bit further with Cleveland, I know you remember when they drafted Johnny Manziel.
Yep.
That year, his rookie year, I can't remember the name, if it was Bobby Hoyer or whoever it was. Cleveland was playing good football. Bobby Hoyer was starting. They were actually at the top of the division. Or near the top. I can't say for sure they were at the top. They were near the top. They were competing. And it was like 6 or 7 games into the season. I remember Thursday night game against the Bengals. It was rain. And Hoyer didn't have a good game. But none of the Browns had a good game. They lost. They didn't lose bad, but they lost. The next week. They benched Hoyer for Manziel.
Yeah.
And guess what happened? They played like crap. It was to drizzling crap.
It was over
downhill quick. And I mean, stupid decisions like that Now, I mean, I know Manziel was there to put butts in the seat. They thought,
Oh
oh
yeah,
yeah, we'll put him out there. People will come to watch him, and we'll make money. But then you go now to shoot, he hadn't played in so long I can't even remember his name. Mr. Massage Parlor guy.
Oh yeah, Watson.
Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
You spend a boatload of money on him
to sit him on a bench.
And how many games has he played?
I don't even know.
It's ridiculous. And then I think the last year they were paying 5 or 6 different quarterbacks. Half of them weren't even on the roster.
Yep.
You got the whole Shedeur Sanders deal now. I mean, but now they're saying Watson might come back.
I don't even know why they drafted the guy. I mean, it had to be publicity. You know, let's be real. Now, if they thought he was going to be a quarterback to play for their franchise, I get it. But you done drafted Gabriel. You've already got Watson. You've brought in Joe Flacco. What are you doing? How are you going to develop Gabriel or Sanders when you're doing
trade Flacco to the Bengals?
And then traded him. Yeah.
So, I mean, It's a Cleveland Browns thing. I mean, that's all I can say.
They have one, to me, the only memorable Cleveland Browns moment over the past years that I can name is Patrick Hillis.
You talking about Patrick or Peyton Hillis?
Peyton Hillis, I mean, not Patrick. Peyton Hillis. Yeah. Peyton Hillis.
Big running back.
Was a beast.
Yes.
But then went to nobody because of the Browns.
Yeah. I mean, if you go to look at Myles Garrett. And I have my feelings about Myles Garrett. Great player.
Yep.
But when you come up and say you want to be traded, you want to play for a Super Bowl, and you're pretty much saying, I don't believe that I can get a Super Bowl here in Cleveland. And then you take they sign you to this huge contract, and I'm like, really, dude? Do you really want to win? But now he's with the Rams.
So now he's got a chance.
Oh, he's got a chance.
I was actually telling somebody the other day, I hate to see him do it again, but I would absolutely love to see Aaron Donald come back and play with him just to see.
There's been if he's not coming back, then they're having such a good time throwing all these nits out there.
Yes, they are.
I think there was one the other day, and I don't know if it was him or not that put Aaron Donald's jersey sitting on something on social media the other day. I think Myles Garrett did that, but
that would be a force, man.
You would see Stafford get another one at that age. I mean, and I like Stafford. I always have
do too.
Stafford. I like him in Detroit, and I was happy to see him get a Super Bowl after all those struggles in Detroit. I was happy to see him get a Super Bowl there, but I don't know. The Titans are probably going to be a work in progress, but you say they're going to shock the NFL world, so we're going to see. I'm looking at the depth chart here. And
we drafted Tate, wide receiver that's probably the most sure-hand wide receiver in the draft. We drafted him. Great player. We still have Calvin Ridley. Calvin Ridley had a bad season at the beginning of the year last year. He dropped some balls, and that's not like Calvin Ridley. So I think Calvin Ridley definitely wants to come back here. We picked up Robinson from the Giants, probably their most prolific, little scat wide receiver. We already have DK, which was one of the best all-purpose players in the NFL last year. People forget that. Punt returns, kick returns, great football player, fast. So we picked up Gunnar Helm. We got Gunnar Helm at tight end. So we have some talent. At wide receiver, we probably have the most shifty, speedy receiving core in the NFL. Now that you add Tate and Robinson and people like that, you got Ridley. We don't have no big, playmakers, over the top guys. They're all quick, and I think that's what's going to help Cam is to get the ball out quick. They're going to try to run quicker routes because our offensive line has been the reason we've been bad. If you go back and look at Tennessee football, even since the last year at Derrick Henry, we've been PFF rated one of the worst lines in the NFL, even his last year with Tennessee. So if we can get the ball out of Cam Ward's hands, and not get him sacked so many times, I think we have a chance to win any football game.
Yeah, you got to keep him healthy. You got to keep
Yeah.
him on the field. I'm looking here. Bucky Brooks had 2 Titans as all breakout players this year. Excuse me. Cam Ward and Gunnar Helm, like you said, he picked them to have breakout years this year. So maybe we'll see something from Tennessee this year. I know you hope so.
Yeah.
Have you? I'm just stupid.
We have to progress because we can't get no worse.
Was it 2 or 3 wins last year?
Yeah, 3 wins.
3 wins.
Yeah.
Have you ever been to a game there?
Yes.
What was your first game you went to see the Titans?
Oh man, who did I go see my first game? I've been to a few. To a few games. I did get I don't remember who the first team was. It might have been the Texans. I can't remember, but I do remember the first game because I got a bunch of autographs. We went over to the fence area where the players come out, and they were coming out, and I got Michael Griffin, Cortland Finnegan. I got a few Titans autographs, that day, which was really cool. But yeah, I've been to a few. I went to one last year actually with Jay, a friend of mine here that goes to church with him and stuff. He actually came up in my youth. He's actually a Chargers fan, big Chargers fan. Yeah, he loves the Chargers, and he wanted to go see them play.
How old is he?
He's in his 20s, early 20s.
He don't remember the Air Coryell days.
No, yeah, he don't remember that.
Yeah, those were the days for the Chargers there, bud.
Well, it's funny because he's a Chargers fan. He became a Chargers fan when he started watching football, and he didn't have a football team. His daddy's a Steelers fan. He loves the Steelers, and Jay never really had a football team. So he started watching it, and Justin Herbert was the reason he became a Chargers fan. And I told him, I had told him early, Justin Herbert, in my opinion, is the best quarterback in the NFL. And I know a lot of people would debate that, but in the right system, he had the worst line in the NFL last year.
He did, definitely.
He don't have a lot of help. Let's face it. I mean, the players that he has around him, Hamilton was, one guy that they had drafted to help him last year. He don't have huge playmakers at wide receiver and tight end. Horrible line, Alt went down. We were at that game, actually. They won the game, but DK actually ran a punt return back on them. And we were at the game when Alt went down for the season-ending injury. Yep. And but man, I can tell you, the experience of watching Justin Herbert was fun to me because we were. I have video. I have to send it to you and let you check it out. I have video of him warming up, and I ain't never seen nothing like it in my life. He's standing at the 50-yard line, and they got wide receivers running, these go routes and out routes in the corners of the end zone. And Justin Herbert is standing at the 50-yard line, and he's throwing it. He could probably drop the ball in a bucket every time he threw it. It was going to the back corner of the end zone every single throw. Mm-hmm. And I was mesmerized because he was doing it with ease. He wasn't putting force in to throw the football. It was pure accuracy. And that's when I realized this guy is amazing. He's amazing. You get him with some talent around him and an offensive line, they're going to win a Super Bowl.
You know what
They're going to win a Super Bowl.
You know what I'm afraid to tell your friend Jay?
What's that?
Justin Herbert may end up like Matthew Stafford getting a Super Bowl on another team.
That's very possible. It's very, very, very possible.
I see it. If the Chargers don't get straight, he's getting banged up.
Yep.
And I mean, I'm like you. I think Herbert is definitely in the top 3.
Yeah, the top 3 for sure.
He's
yeah,
definitely in the top 3. And his situation in Los Angeles, I got to say San Diego, but it is not good. I mean, they really need to go out and give him some help. And they're not doing it.
I mean, and playmakers. I mean, they could have, the wide receivers and stuff that were available.
Oh yeah,
get this guy a playmaker at wide receiver. Now, I will say this: bringing in Mike McDaniels is going to change the game.
Yeah,
and that's one thing. Mike McDaniels, a lot of people don't realize this. I mean, he turned down some jobs to go coach Justin Herbert. He wanted to coach Justin Herbert. Matter of fact, he turned down head coaching job to go be an offensive coordinator for Justin Herbert. He did not want to go to Cleveland. And all those,
who does? Who does?
All those other places, he was like, I just think I'll go coach Justin Herbert.
I would have gone to Canadian League before I gone to Cleveland. Jeez.
I would too, man. I wouldn't want to be a coach there right now. To make those decisions on there. They're backwards.
Looking at this depth chart for the Chargers now, I'll tell you somebody, and I'm a little biased towards him, but I think is going to make a big difference this year if he can stay healthy. Keaton Mitchell. Keaton Mitchell played for Baltimore.
Yes, sir.
Fast.
Yes.
He's ECU running back.
Yes, sir.
Fast. Not Chris Johnson fast, but he's fast.
Me and him talked about Keaton Mitchell. Mitchell and Hamilton together. That's a good addition for sure.
Marion Hampton together. That's a good 1-2 punch right there.
Yep. Hampton. Yep.
And then you get Noku from at tight end from the Browns.
That was another good addition. Yep.
Yeah. So maybe if they get this offensive line straight.
Yep.
Maybe that offense. But one thing that for a long time when maybe not that team that went to the Super Bowl with San Diego back when Natron Means and Stan Humphries, when they beat my Steelers in the AFC Championship game. I don't know how that happened, but they had a defense then. But according to the 49ers, maybe not. But the problem with San Diego, or when they were the San Diego Chargers, when they had Eric Coryell, Dan Fouts, James Brooks, Charlie Joyner, Kellen Winslow.
Yeah,
they could score. They could score like crazy, dude. But they had to score because their defense was trash.
They didn't have a defense at all.
Never get a defense.
Yeah,
and that kept them. I watched one of the greatest games I've ever seen, and I don't know if you've ever watched it, but you need to go on YouTube and watch it one time. The 1982 divisional game, AFC divisional playoffs. The Chargers and the Dolphins from Miami. They played in Miami. Overtime, 41-38, San Diego wins. Kellen Winslow, if you can ever say a player left it all on the field, Kellen Winslow left it on the field that night. But that was just shoot. I go back and watch that game, and I watched it. I remember I was watching it, and we had a Christmas party to go to. I'm like 9 years old, and I'm like, God, we got to go to Christmas. It wasn't, I want to watch this game.
Yeah.
Getting back home, and the game was still going on.
Wow.
How is this going on? And then seeing the end of it where they get the win. But that was the Chargers' problem back then. No defense at all. They played no defense.
And that's kind of been their problem throughout the years a little bit. Yeah. And I tell him though, it's funny. Because I tell him, I actually like the Chargers. I have nothing.
I have nothing.
Nothing. I actually kind of like them. I like their coach. I like, one thing about them bringing Mike in that's going to change the game. Last year when we watched the Steelers, my evaluation, the Chargers, our evaluation of them was their routes. With them having such a horrible line, their offensive coordinator didn't do a good job at changing the strategy. They were running, Stevie, when we were watching them, their wide receivers wouldn't break it until 10 yards. So they were running 10-yard plus routes all game on us. Very rarely did they have zigs and cutbacks and, crosses.
You can't block. You can't run 10-yard routes.
Exactly. And that was one of their problems last year. And with Mike, he's going to do the little chip crosses and zigs, and he's going to get the little quick dink and dunks to your receivers like he did, in Miami. And then he's going to burn you over the top. That's how he loves to play, so that's going to change them a whole lot. But I tell him all the time, I say that if there's any football team that I've ever felt sorry for the most, other than Tennessee losing the Super Bowl by 1 yard. My goodness, we still lose sleep over that. But it's got to be the Chargers, because if there's ever a quarterback other than Dan Marino that deserves a Super Bowl that didn't get it, it's Phillip Rivers. That man.
Oh yeah.
And that man, if we was to sit here and be completely honest, there's nobody that had a tougher road to hoe. I mean, he had to go against Peyton Manning. He had to go against Tom Brady. He had to go against Steve McNair. He had to go against Ben Roethlisberger. You know, he had to go against the best quarterbacks in all of football every single year, and he had to meet them in the playoffs, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, and Phillip Rivers and the San Diego Chargers were a great football team that just never got it because of who they had to deal with to get there. You know,
am I remembering it right, or did Rivers play one year in the AFC playoffs with like a torn ACL?
Yeah, I think he did. I think so.
Yeah.
I think you're right. He had a torn ACL, I think, in a game, which
I
we
think
know
they were
Steve
playing-
McNair did that a lot.
The Colts? I don't know. I can't remember.
I think he did play Peyton in that game. I
Yeah.
think. I'm not 100% on that.
He had some kind of serious injury he was still in there though.
Yeah, he played through it. Yep.
And
you're exactly right.
I'm not an NC State fan by no means, but I had a chance his senior year at State. The first game of the year they played New Mexico. Somebody said, "I got free tickets to the game. Don't you want to go?" And I jumped at the chance to go see him play.
Yeah, man.
He was, and I was. Believe me, looking back on it now, I know things worked out for us, but with that 2004 draft, I was sitting at my work that day, that Saturday. We had the TV on, and I was like, please don't let the Giants pick.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And, you know how that worked out. And then when they picked Roethlisberger, I was like, who the heck? What is a Roethlisberger?
Yeah.
That kind of worked out for us, so I'm not complaining at all.
Big Ben, man, he was one of those guys that fit the Steelers scheme. I don't think Big Ben would have been that same quarterback anywhere else. He fit Pittsburgh like a glove, man. Tough. Yeah. God knows he was tough. He could take a hit.
Take a beat.
And, you know, he was a ground and pound, you know, play action, you know. And Ben, let's face it, dude, Ben Roethlisberger made some of the greatest throws in NFL history. I mean, my gosh, we'll never forget the Super Bowl. You know, the touchdown in the back of the end zone.
Put in between two guys.
Gosh, that was beautiful. That was a throw that it had to be exactly the way it was for it to go down the way it did. You know, and that's Big Ben, man. Big Ben was clutch.
I still say to this day he should have been MVP of that Super Bowl.
Absolutely should have been.
No
ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Santonio Holmes, don't get me wrong. I give all credit where credit's due. That last drive, he came up big.
Yep.
Ben came up big the whole game. I mean, he threw an interception, but
he led that team, man. Wow. He led them.
But getting you know, and NFL is right around the corner. You guys lead off. You guys might get an easy first win. Guess who y'all's first game's against?
I hope so.
The Jets.
I hope so. I hope so. They set that up though. NFL's being funny.
Oh, you know, with
Sella. Yep. Sella, you're gonna play your old team, buddy.
We're gonna get a little revenge on it, which that's good for Tennessee. You know,
He's
got that marked on his calendar. I'm sure. You know,
that's a tone setter.
I mean, the first game you always got that set on calendar, but to add that little extra incentive to it, I think they might get that win. I don't know what the Jets have. I've got a lot of work to do when I get this NFL preview going. Let's shift gears a little bit, and then we'll get back to your Titans, favorite Titans. Let's go. We don't talk a lot about the NBA, but I tell you this: I said, because I'm an ECU football fan, but let's be honest. ECU's basketball team leaves a lot to be desired. A lot to be desired. It's hard to pull it. So, and I've always been a Carolina basketball fan since I was a kid.
Right.
Since the Jordan days. I remember, I go as far back as remember when they played Indiana in the national championship, Isaiah Thomas was the point guard, and it was the day Ronald Reagan got shot. Because I remember getting ready to eat dinner, and my mom and dad talking about, well, they don't know if they're going to play the national championship game that night because they had to make a decision, and which they went through with it. But yeah, Carolina lost that, but next year they come back and get it. I've been out of NBA probably since Jordan left. The first time, not the Wizards time. I watch a little bit of the Wizards deal experiment with Jordan.
Well, you see it on the wall back there.
Yeah, I see it. Yeah, that's the rookie card, ain't it?
That's the '86 Fleer right there.
Yeah.
That's one of his greatest cards, and I got it. I made it out of a canvas. Yeah.
So I said before the draft, when they started talking about Caleb Wilson would probably get drafted by the Bulls, and I was a Bulls fan, of course, because of Jordan. I would probably get more into the NBA the next season if Caleb Wilson got drafted by the Bulls.
Right.
And that happened, so I'm gonna try. I put it this way, I'm gonna try because it's hard. It's hard these days to watch a lot of NBA.
Yeah, I don't watch it like I used to. I just can't. It's not the same basketball to me. I can't watch it. It's horrible because I like basketball. But Stevie, man, in this young generation, you try to explain to them the difference. They can watch the highlight film, but they just don't get it. They don't get it. And, they try to compare these guys like LeBron and whoever to the guys of old, and not just Jordan, but many of those guys, man. And it borderline makes me sick because I want to say, guys, listen, I would give anything to see LeBron James play in the 90s era. I would give anything. I would use this comparison to see him play in the 90s era.
I've got a nephew right now, huge LeBron fan. Can't tell him anything. And I tell anybody that wants to question me about it, go watch the Bad Boys Detroit Pistons. And
yes, sir.
You tell me what would happen, what LeBron would do if he had to go in the lane against those guys and what they tried to do to Jordan.
Yep.
LeBron, as much as LeBron flops, he would be carried out on a stretcher every night he played the Pistons.
Yes, sir. And that's the thing I tell people. It's not that LeBron's not athletic. The guy is insanely an athlete. He is amazing. But he's playing in an era that's if I come down on your toe after a shot, you're going to the line.
Yeah.
And it's so soft. It's so soft. And guys back then didn't do a bunch of flopping. I mean,
if you flop, you were going to catch it twice as hard the next time.
Yeah, man. They were going to put it on you, and the rest were going to let them if you flopped. It wasn't going to be, and I tell them the same thing, Stevie. I say, do you know what hand checking is? They don't do hand checking anymore. No, you touch them, and you are going to be called for a foul. And it's, the Shaq days, the bodying up, when he would get a rebound and he flare out his elbows and turn twice, and you're going to get elbowed. And he's going to go up with it. That was his way of making room. It was part of the game. Power and strength and ability in the paint was part of the game. And I'll give you another instance, Stevie. And I know, when I tell you this, you'll probably be like, yeah, that's something a lot of people don't think about this. And I bring it up a lot. I tell young people, I say, what is one art in basketball that you do not see anymore? It's the hook shot.
Yeah, you sure don't.
You name me a player that you've seen in the past 5 years that's made more than 4 hook shots. You don't. And I tell them, I said, do you know why they don't have to do a hook shot? Because they can turn face up at you and shoot the ball. Because if your body's against them, they're going to the line. Exactly. But back in the day, you had to do a hook shot because you had to use your body as separation because they were against you on your shot. So you had to separate and throw it over them, to get the shot off. And the hook shot is one thing that I always go back to. They don't need it no more because they don't have to have it. You got 7-foot guys pulling up 10 feet behind the arc.
No, don't get me started. Look, I did watch, and I don't watch much NBA, but I will pay attention to the finals. And let me tell you, the blown lead that the Spurs had when you got a 20-some point lead. I mean, I did like somebody put up on Facebook the new logo for the Spurs was the Falcons logo.
Yeah. I seen that. It was funny.
When you got a 7'4" guy, and he's out there taking threes, they took 10. They did 10 3-pointers in that stretch where the Knicks came back. You mean to tell me that as a coach, I blame that on the coaches.
Yep, and they locked him down in the paint.
These guys are going to get out there and do what they want to because NBA is, to me, you talk about the hook, and you don't see the hook a lot. How many times you see a guy go inside and not?
Very rarely.
How many 3-point attempts are there a game?
Too many.
There's tons of them. I mean, and there's no defense because they can't play defense.
Yep.
But when you watch, and I watch the scores, like when I get up in the morning to go to work, I'll turn the ESPN on and I'll look at the scores on the bottom line. And when you see the majority, 90% of the scores, the losing team scored over 100 points, you're not playing defense.
No, there's nothing. No defense at all. Exactly.
Yeah, that Spurs, the blown lead, when you got a 7'4" guy, you don't have him posting up inside to try to end the run.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
Yep. Wemby wasn't doing nothing in the paint. And when he did, he was getting bullied. It was like, what is happening here? You know, I went to a game. It's been about 3 or 4 years ago, because I was, when Ja Morant, and we had Ja Morant and Desmond Bain and Jaren Jackson Jr., we had a good team for, those few years. We actually could have went to a championship. We had to face the Lakers. Dylan Brooks, we had Dylan Brooks.
Yeah.
And Dylan Brooks talked so much junk that we ended up getting beat in that series. But I went. Me and Jay, the same guy that went to the Chargers game, we went to D.C. to go see the Memphis Grizzlies play, Washington. And we get there, and this is no exaggeration. Probably 90%, 80%, I say, to be safer, of the fans there were Grizzlies fans. And they had Ja Morant jerseys on and Desmond Bain jerseys on. There weren't many Washington fans at that game.
I wonder why.
And me and Jay were shocked. We were like, wow, this is crazy. Well, we go into that game, we get in there, and we're sitting there getting ready, and it's a few minutes for the game starts, and then all of a sudden they pop up on the screen. Desmond Bain, Ja Morant, and maybe one more of them. Maybe it was Steven. We had Steven Adams. It was one of the three. It was three guys, three of our best players. I can't remember exactly which one it was. It might have been Jaren Jackson Jr., the three top players. All three of them, game time decision, out because of a foot.
Oh.
And me and Jay were sick. The reason we went to go watch them is to go see those three do their high-flying basketball against a team that is less superior. And they all sat out.
You don't think it was last minute they had to put foot up there, all of them foot, but this stupid load management thing.
That's what it was.
Can you imagine Charles Barkley and them back in the day? If somebody had come up and said, I got to take the night off, was
so load management
day. Oh my gosh.
Man, could you imagine them telling Jordan that?
Well, yeah, I mean, if you watch the Last Dance documentary, which I'm sure you have, I've watched it time and time again. You saw how aggravated he was when he had broke his foot that year, and they had him on a time schedule.
Yeah,
and he just told the guys that the coach said, I can't put you in. I'm going to get fired. He said, just put me in for the last 30 seconds.
Yeah, just put me in.
You can imagine what load management would have done to him. He would have been like, what the heck is that?
And the thing is, Stevie, that was right before they gave them that load management thing. It was when guys were sitting out on their own, and what's funny about that, not to continue to run them in the hole, but this stuff started with LeBron James.
What?
LeBron James.
LeBron.
And it's like, they crowned him too quick. That's all I can say. They crowned him way too quick. And I'm going to say this while I say that. LeBron's had an amazing career. He's been a great basketball player. And you was talking about the free agency stuff. I told somebody the other day, and I said the guy has got to choose Cleveland. Of anywhere he goes, if he does not choose Cleveland, to me, he has no legacy whatsoever. And the reason I say that, it's just like my friend said. He said, well, he's just trying to have fun. I said, that's the problem. The NBA is allowing him just to have fun and do what he wants to do. That is the exact problem with LeBron James in the NBA. He shouldn't be able to just have fun, and do what he wants to do. Exactly. Now he can pick whatever team he wants to go to, of course. But the NBA is allowing themselves to be made a spectacle because you're allowing one man to run the NBA. And, to me, if LeBron wants to solidify his legacy, he would go home to Cleveland. It's not about winning a championship. It's about going home where you started, where you should have stayed from the very beginning, where you should have stayed and never left, and, he went all the way to LA and won one championship. And he had to get it.
What are you talking about, man? He was talking about going to Miami and winning 6, 7 championships with Wade Bosch. How many did they win?
Exactly. And that was Wade's team. I don't care what anybody says. That was Dwayne Wade's team. The
super team that lost to the Dallas Mavericks. I was so glad to see Dirk.
I was too, man.
Oh, God.
That was the greatest thing in history to me. I loved it. Dirk was an incredible basketball player, and he deserved that champion. He deserved that.
I mean, you look at Dirk. That's one guy out of that era that didn't fall into the super team deal. It stayed where he was loyal to the Mavericks. He stayed there his whole career. And there's been a few others, but a lot of these guys come out and we got to go make a super team. I know there's a lot of talk of LeBron mentioned at Golden State. I know Philly is coming to mix with the whole stupid move by Boston to trade Jaylen Brown.
My goodness. Why? What are they thinking?
You burned your bridge. You burned your bridge when you thought you were going to get Giannis. And Giannis, I'm sorry, Giannis had those good years, and when he won the championship, Giannis started to get banged up. Giannis ain't no spring chicken no more. I don't think he would have fit in Boston. I think Boston is more about, not one standout player.
That's right.
They've got 2 or 3 guys, and Jaylen Brown was one of those guys. I think Boston has made a huge mistake.
I do too.
You want Powell, who can't finish a year. He's got more minutes on his podcast than he's got on the court here lately.
You're right. It don't make sense. Golden State, him going to Golden State, that
would be like, and then, they're saying that if he goes to Golden State's going to trade Jimmy Butler for Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis can't stay healthy either. So
it's the reason. You know what I don't understand about that? LeBron lied about not knowing LA was getting rid of Anthony Davis for Luka. He lied about that because they caught him in it. They basically caught. He knew what was going on. At first, he said he didn't because he didn't want Davis to be mad.
There's nothing that goes on that went on with the Lakers that LeBron didn't know
without LeBron knowing.
Exactly.
So you was a part of them getting rid of AD from the very beginning to bring in Luka. You got everything you wanted in LA. Now you're leaving. And now you're wanting to now you're talking about wanting to bring AD back to you. Like it's because the last thing he remembers is the last championship, and he had Anthony Davis on his basketball team. And for him to even consider Golden State is almost to me like him saying, I don't know if I want to play against Michael Jordan. I want to play with Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
You're talking about the other best player in the NBA, Curry.
Well,
and
then you got with Draymond making the taking the less money to stay there, it kind of makes you wonder if something's not coming. So I'd say I'd be a little surprised, but I wouldn't be shocked if he ended up in Golden State, because I know his I know his past. He likes to he's going wherever, and just like you said with Cleveland, if he wanted to make the right choice, go finish where you started. Exactly.
Yeah, I mean,
that
they got a solid basketball
I don't think that's
team.
in his. They do. They got a good basketball team, but I don't think that's in his mindset right now. Of course, he makes the shrewd move and makes sure that Bronny's contract with the Lakers is finalized. It can't, it's official. That day with the deadline, the next day he tells the Lakers, "I don't want to be a Laker." So Bronny's got his contract, got his money. Made sure of that, no matter what the Lakers do. So good, smart businessman.
Definitely a smart man. Ain't no doubt about it.
Who do you think, unless LeBron made them take him with him, what other team in the NBA will want Bronny?
Bronny?
Yeah, Bronny. Well, unless LeBron, one of LeBron's demands was, if I sign with you, you got to take my son. Would any other team in the NBA want Bronny?
No. And that's the thing that people, if they had a lick of common sense, they would know the boy would not be in the NBA if it wasn't for that.
Second round draft pick. He should have been second round draft pick. I'm sorry.
There's no way.
I hate it for the kid in a way, but
he's a good kid. Bronny's a good kid.
The way he says sometimes, I'm like, dude, you're not as good as what you think you are. I'm glad you got the confidence.
I'll tell you a player that I would have, that I could have thought right off the top of my head that I would have taken above him, that I liked and thought he would have, right situation, could have been a pretty good basketball player. And that's Burns. That played for North Carolina State.
Yeah.
Burns was, undrafted, and I'm like, how does Burns go undrafted and Bronny gets drafted in the second round? Lakers?
Everybody knows.
I'll be straight up. I'd put Day Askew up against Bronny.
Yeah,
I'd put Day up against Bronny.
Is not. Bronny is not a NBA. I was messing with a Lakers fan the other day. He came in the store with his Lakers shirt on. I said, that's all right. I said, oh, LaFlop. He said, no, he's gone. I said, but you still got Bronny. No,
that's right.
No, we got Bronny. I said, well, his contracts, y'all paid him. Y'all got to pay him. And I said, look at that. Starting point guard, Lakers this year, Bronny James. Oh, he got hot and ran out of the store. Anyway, NBA is what it is. Caleb Wilson now, I know it's summer league and all, but 35 points the other night against Boozer?
Yep.
7 for 11 from three.
Yep.
This guy, I hate that injuries ate up so much of his time at Carolina, but maybe he said, like I said, it's just summer league, so hard to tell. When he goes against the big boys, we'll see how he does then.
I guess to me the biggest, other than like I said, I don't get the NBA too heavy. As a Grizzlies fan, I'm glad we're moving on from Ja. It's time for that, that season to end, and we need to bring in somebody. We got to rebuild. But the craziest move to me that I still do not understand is Charlotte letting him go to Minnesota after the year they had this year, and the way that they connected, and the way that him and Koopel just, my goodness, they played so good together, and they were electric this year.
Ever since they come back to Charlotte, bud, it's almost like with Charlotte, sometimes it's like you take one step forward, and then you go 2 steps back. They
did that with Walker, didn't they? With the years with Walker, you're exactly right. All the opportunities Walker help.
When you get and I'm wondering, it crossed my mind because there was talks that when they were making this deal, that the Hornets were in talks with Celtics to get Jaylen Brown.
Yeah, that would have been nice.
The Celtics asking price was too much, But you don't do those. You don't make those trades like that. Trade your best player away until you're sure you got something else that you're almost 100% sure that's going to happen.
Yeah, and it's crazy. I was telling somebody I actually really like Charlotte too. You know, I like to see Charlotte do good.
Charlotte, the second half of that season last year was one of the hot teams in the NBA.
I was telling somebody, I said, the way Ball is playing is what we're seeing from him is what we were supposed to see from John Morant throughout his career. And this guy, the way he's came on, he is my goodness, he's playing. And to let that go just blows my mind, man. I was expecting them to be one of the forces in the NBA this year.
I figured they wouldn't be a play-in team this year. They'd be a playoff team, maybe a 4 or 5 seed this year if they.
Yep.
Because what they had, and this is what people don't get, and I don't get how these NBA executives don't get it. That second half of the year, the first half of the year, they were getting used to each other. Second half of the year, when you get going like that, that means you got chemistry. Those guys, Ball and had chemistry together.
It was amazing.
And you don't. I mean, when you got that going, you don't get rid of one of the main parts of it.
No.
You build off of it. You build around them too. Let's take for example, Jordan and Pippen back in the day.
Yeah.
Chicago had a breakthrough year, right before, let's say the year before they won the first championship, but they decided to trade Pippen.
Yeah.
What kind of sense would that have made?
It'd have been crazy. That's exactly right.
And I've listened to. I've got a friend of mine that does a Carolina sports podcast, and he's up around the Charlotte area, and he says he's not too upset about it. And I'm like, I don't know how you could be. If you're a Hornets fan, I don't know how you could be, because I don't see anything coming in there to take that place. You know what I mean? Right now, there's nothing in there to take what you have with Ball's place.
No, and to have a guard to play that kind of guard play is rare anyway. Yeah. And you had, to me, probably one of the best, if not the best guards right now. The way he played it, like you were saying, at the end of that season, and the way he was setting Cooper up. And, they were competing for breaking records at threes with each other, know? They were just banging together, man. And like you said, that move was one that I don't get it. I don't understand
make your head scratch your head. So, Summer League, I want to see what you think about this. The one free throw rule. I don't know if you've heard about this. They're doing in Summer League. When free throws are awarded, one free throw worth 1, 2, or 3 points will be attempted. So if they shoot one free throw, they get 2 points. They're trying to speed up the game. Why do you want to speed up basketball? That's what they're doing. And in the last two, now, when you get to the last 2 minutes of the fourth quarter during overtime, standard rule, it goes back to standard rules.
I hate that. That's crazy. Why not just leave standard rules the way they are? So what does it mean?
They've been doing this in the G League since 2019.
So in other words, you go to the free throw line, you shoot once, you get counted as 2 makes.
Yeah, and you get one free throw. You get 2 points for it.
So how do they do that statistically if they're going to change it, like at the end of the game, going back to 2 free throws? You get what I'm saying?
A basic foul on a missed shot attempt will reward 1 free throw worth 2 points. So if you're taking a shot and you get fouled, you get 2 points for it. Get this. Oh, I didn't know this. If they were fouled taking a 3-pointer, they get 1 free throw. If they make that 1 free throw, they get 3 points.
Wow.
And if you get, let's see, I guess if you get fouled like on the floor and they're in the bonus, I guess you get 1 point then if you're not taking a shot.
So what if they make the shot and get fouled?
I guess you get 1 point. 1 point for that. I don't know. That's a good question. That's not up here.
So it would translate back to a 1 point. Man, that statistically is going to be tough. They're going to have to. Are they going to have different kind of categories for field goals and statistics?
Evidently, they're going to have something. But I mean, this is like I said. This is just in the summer league right now. They're seeing how it goes.
They're testing it and stuff.
They're testing it out. But like the G League has it since 2019. So.
And the NBA's had the free throws the way they are from the beginning, maybe. So I'm one of them ones. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Exactly.
I don't like that, Stevie.
Why are you trying to speed up basketball? It's one thing in baseball. I mean, I can understand baseball is a slower game, but basketball and with baseball, it really is not speeding up the game because the challenges are taking more time.
Yeah. What it almost sounds like to me is more so they might use the excuse of speed, but it sounds like they just want more points because, you shoot it like you were saying a while ago, you was hitting the nail on the head. You got all these guys, all they do is shoot threes. That's going to make it worse because you get fouled shooting a three is better than getting fouled shooting a layup any day because you go to the line, you shoot one time for 3 points. I mean,
if you're taking a three, you get 3 points for hitting one shot.
No wonder we don't have interior basketball anymore. It's just a 3-point contest now.
They just want to kill the game, bud. Kill the game. Let's get over to, and I know we're really going along on this, but WNBA. Caitlin Clark. Okay. I'll say this about Caitlin Clark. More eyes got on the WNBA last year because of Caitlin Clark. Awesome player.
Yep.
How, when you've got a attraction like her, where her home games had to be moved to bigger arenas because of ticket sales. WNBA, how are you letting these other women go out there and have their way with it? I mean, you had a girl, I think it was a Smith girl, punch her in the throat while she was on the ground.
Yeah.
And you guys are acting like, oh, there was no big deal there. And here's another thing. While we're on that subject of Clark, you do your 30th anniversary WNBA poster. Celebrate 30 years of the WNBA. You have the old guard in there that started with it up until now. You have 2 or 3 current players. Caitlin Clark's not on there. How did this happen? What is going on there?
I think even Candace Parker even made a comment about that, didn't she?
Yeah.
She even was like, what are you doing? How can you? Yeah, the WNBA is proving to us why it was never relevant. That's all I can say is they're showing the world why they were never, ever relevant. And if they don't fix this, whatever it is, and, whether it be, I don't know what to say other than, is it a race issue? I mean, I don't mind saying that because sometimes it looks that way. I've heard many people hate on Caitlin Clark because they don't want to see it being a white girl being the face of the WNBA. First of all, who cares?
Exactly. Look at what she's done for the league.
Right. The thing is Caitlin Clark didn't hurt any of them. She helped every single one of them by making them all richer, even the WNBA. They have no reason to hate her. As far as I know, she's never been, negative toward other people in any kind of way or anything like that. It all kind of started at the beginning of her career because everybody wanted Angel Reese to be the face of the WNBA. And, her and Angel Reese, Angel Reese clearly didn't like her. And, that moved on through and stuff like that. And it just kind of stuck. And for the WNBA to treat Caitlin Clark the way they do is mind-blowing. It is mind-blowing. And it's honestly, Stevie, I actually, last couple of years, I actually tried to start getting into the WNBA a little bit again and looking at it. I was a huge Candace Parker fan because Tennessee, and she played for Tennessee, and Tennessee's put out some amazing WNBA players, Hornbuckle and many over the years, but and even Candace, and that's why I appreciate Candace, because Candace has even taken a stance for her and saying there's no reason that she shouldn't even be named as one of the top guards ever in the WNBA already. And it's weird. I don't know what it is. I don't like pinpointing certain things.
Yeah.
But I can tell you, if they don't fix it, they're gonna show their own demise. When Caitlin Clark and Sophie Cunningham are done, everybody's gonna stop watching WNBA.
Let me tell you something. Sophie Cunningham.
I love Sophie.
I like Caitlin Clark, but I love Sophie.
Sophie is yes, sir.
That she said it was her quote was, "It was the stupidest thing ever," but it peed her off, so I kept on doing it. So
yeah, I loved it. I mean, one thing I will give the WNBA that I tell people all the time, they play harder than the NBA players, man.
Yes, they do.
They're more gritty. They get down, and that's why the situation with Caitlin Clark and stuff like that. The part on the neck, was a little extra, a little bit, and they should have took a stand there. But I do appreciate how they're letting them play a lot rougher in the WNBA.
Oh yeah. That would never happen in the NBA.
No, those girls, they bang sometimes. And I really do love that about it. And I just wish that they could come together and say, hey, we've got a good brand here. But we have got to make sure that that if it's a bang league, it can be bang, but don't be out here trying to hurt each other.
Exactly.
That's always been my problem with Draymond Green. I've never been a fan of Draymond Green because he's always trying to hurt somebody. There's a difference in being a chippy defensive bang player and actually trying to hurt somebody.
Tripping and doing kind of like a Grayson Allen deal.
Yeah, you can't. Dennis Rodman didn't do that. Dennis Rodman played straight defense.
Oh, Rodman had that moment against Pippen where he tried to.
Well, yeah, he was
trying to hurt Pippen that night. That was one thing I was surprised Pippen was so open to Rodman coming over there. That could have really messed Pippen up.
It could have. Which Rodman, he had, but it wasn't all the time. And every now and then he would get to the point where he was like, but still, a much rougher NBA, than today. And you got people like Draymond, he's on the ground, he's tripping people. I mean, he's, but the WNBA has played. They've played a lot better. It's been a lot better, but they need to fix this. Whatever it is they got going on, if it's hate for Caitlin Clark, they need to fix it. If it's racism, they need to fix it. Whatever the problem is, they need to fix it. It don't matter who the face is. There's going to be a new face in a few years.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Who cares? It doesn't matter. And I mention that because you got people like Stephen A. Smith that says the things he says, about Dallas, and I 100% agree with him. He's correct. Let's face it. The man is not wrong. No. But it's the way that he said it, and it's like, it's like a few other guys have said, not trying to make anything race baiting, but let's get the top 3 or 4 best white boys in the NBA and put them on a team right now. They got some pretty good talent. You can't tell me
what Stephen A. said about the Lakers.
Yeah. So all that stuff to me plays into it together.
Oh yeah.
It's basketball. It's a sport that we all know has been viewed for many, many years as an African American sport. They have dominated basketball. We know that. That is no secret. White Man Can't Jump was a movie.
Definitely a different White Man Can't Jump. That's
yeah. We know this. We know this stuff. And when we get somebody in there that's doing good, let's celebrate them, man. Let's not try to take them out. This is a once in a lifetime situation for us.
It makes you think with some of the decisions the heads of the WNBA making that the Cleveland Browns organization isn't in charge of WNBA making those.
You're right. I mean, you're right. You would think man, they ain't seized on the opportunity, you know, Steve. Yes, and that's what I'm saying. If they don't change some things, they could seize on this opportunity right now. The WNBA would be booming far beyond the NBA, and it wouldn't take long.
You're right. So let's go back to football, and we're going to talk. Okay, everybody, unless you're really, really young and just started watching football, Tennessee Titans were originally the Houston Oilers, which turned into the Tennessee Oilers, which made no sense at all, and then turned into the Tennessee Titans. They finally decided, I think it was just the Oilers was a temporary thing in Tennessee until they came up with a name. So we're going to talk a little bit about some of your favorite Oilers/Titans here. So you get us started, and I've got some on mine too.
So, man, as we talked about, that's not easy to do. But I'm going to start us off with probably an unlikely name to a lot of people that are watching that might see this. I can't, knowing sports and loving the game like I do, I am going to start off by giving 100% credit to as a probably the top player in our franchise history is Bruce Matthews. And a lot of people are going to think Warren Moon. They're going to think Earl Campbell. They're going to think Steve McNair. They're going to think these other names. But I have to give it to Bruce Matthews. Bruce Matthews, and the history of Bruce Matthews. A lot of people don't realize this, but Bruce Matthews is in the Hall of Fame, and he actually is considered a top 5, if not one of the best offensive linemen to ever live. And because of that, I can't start with talking about my top Titans players without giving that interior man his credit, due credit. He's with the organization for 19 years.
He's there a long time.
And he even became our offensive line coach a little while. He was 7-time first team All-Pro, 3-time second team All-Pro, 14-time Pro Bowl, Barrett Star Award, 1990s All-Decade Team, All-Anniversary Team, so many things. He played 296 games played in his career. He started 293 of those. And then, of course, like I said, 19 years with us, retiring as a player. Matthews served as assistant coach for the Houston Texans and Titans, a member of the Matthews family of football players. His brother, he is the brother of linebacker Clay Matthews and Kevin Matthews. So the Matthews had a great, great, great family and career of football, and I can't start off without giving Bruce Matthews his credit. That's one that I have to do before we get to the players that everybody knows.
Yeah. Well, and for you kids out there that probably don't know, that we're talking about Clay Matthews Sr., not Clay Matthews Jr. that played for the Packers.
Yep, that's right.
Who was a longtime Cleveland Brown.
Yep.
And another one that was a legacy.
The
longevity with the Browns. Wow, great linebacker there. I'm gonna, Matthews is definitely on my list, but I'm gonna go to another. While we're doing the most unlikely, people probably wouldn't think. I'm gonna go to another offensive lineman that was there with Matthews, and legacy guy, 9-time Pro Bowler, played from 82 till 93. Hall of Fame in 2001. He was actually the Titans head coach in 2011 to 2013. Steelers offensive line coach, currently the Broncos offensive line coach. Talk about Mike Munchak.
Yes, sir. Another great
offensive lineman. You imagine, think about just having Munchak and Matthews on that same line.
Yes.
Those guys are legends. And and Munchak made the biggest difference in Pittsburgh, and you can see the biggest difference after he left too.
And you're right, and the credit you on that. Our offensive line was amazing when Munchak was our offensive line coordinator.
Yeah,
it was, and then of course we moved him to our head coach from offensive. And I didn't like that. I wasn't a fan of that. I liked Mike Munchak, but I wanted him to stay working on the interior line.
Like we said before, some are better coordinators than coaches.
Yep. And when we did that, I was sad because I was like, I know that when he don't work out, they're not just going to slide him back down to offensive line coach. They're going to get rid of him. And I was sad about that. I really was. And you're exactly right. Mike Munchak is a guy that I would give anything if he was still a Tennessee Titan.
Yeah.
To this day. Yep. That's a good name. Really good one. Yeah, so I guess we'll just kind of go down the list here and go from some of the known ones, Warren Moon. We have to mention Warren Moon. You can't go anywhere without mentioning Warren Moon. And that's another thing about the Tennessee Titans that's funny. We have a big history of African American quarterbacks. If you think about that, our entire franchise has been built around that style of quarterback.
McNair.
Yep. We Vince Young. We've went for all the guys like that. I mean, even Mariota, which he's not African American, but he was that style of quarterback that we thought could be. We've always wanted that style. Jake Locker was that style. He was the gritty, head down run. And we've always tried to replace the Warren Moon and Steve McNair. We've tried that ever since.
When McNair came into the league, when he got drafted, coming out of a small school, Alcorn State. I remember I followed him his senior year, and I was like, somebody's going to get something good with this guy.
Yes, sir.
People would say, well, he's not really playing competition. I was like, there's something special about that guy. Because if I still have my scrapbook here, I know I've still got some USA Today clippings when he was up for the Heisman that year.
Yes.
Stuff from when he played at Alcorn State. But I'm going to stick with some guy in one of your more iconic plays. And every time people talk about Tennessee Titans, there's probably two plays you think of coming up short in the Super Bowl and then the Music City Miracle. Well, the guy that threw the pass was one of those underrated tight ends.
Yes, he was.
Get the job done. Frank Wycheck.
Yes, sir.
One of Steve McNair's favorite targets. He would come up with the big plays. And to be a part of that Music City Miracle, he'll be in history for as long as it's around, as long as football's around. Because I remember watching that live and thinking, I was like, that's coming back. That's coming back. And then looking at it, watching it in slow mo, I was like, no, that's not coming back. We were all nervous. We were like, well, this is crazy. We can't believe this has happened. And if this goes through, this is the greatest miracle that's ever happened for us. Yeah. And it was Music City Miracle. And that leads to was that the same year as you guys went to the Super Bowl? Yep, that's the year we went and lost by 1 yard to the St. Louis Rams. Yep. So but Wycheck was always, one of my favorite Titans. He was one of those blue collar guys that get the job done. Yeah, and so I'm gonna just lump them together. And I've argued this. You've probably seen me do it on Facebook. I feel like that you'd be hard-pressed to find a franchise in the NFL that's had a better running history than Tennessee. You're not going to find another team that's had a better running history, running the football than Tennessee Titans. You're just not going to find it. Because when you take – that's why we're talking about the players, and I'm going to lump them together. Because it'd be impossible for me to pick a best of these. Anytime you talk about Titans legends, you're going to talk about Earl Campbell. You're going to talk about Eddie George. You're going to talk about Chris Johnson, and you're going to talk about Derrick Henry. And those are four guys that were absolutely unbelievable. And you combine those four and what they've done for their franchise versus any other four running backs in history for their franchise, you're not going to find it. Two of those guys broke 2,000 yards. Yeah. But it takes me back to me and you both starting off with an offensive lineman as well. We've had great running backs, but man, Tennessee has had one of the best
interior offensive line, defensive line and running games in NFL history. And, that's when you talk Tennessee football, that's what you always think of, a team that's going to they're not necessarily a super team. It's not a team but we know that we're going to go in there and they're going to be rough. They're going to be tough. They're going to beat you up. They're going to run the ball. There was a time when Tennessee was known as the bullies of the National Football League.
Yeah.
And they were known as the bullies of the NFL. It's because we had a rough defense with Keith Bullock, Albert Haynesworth, his year that he shared MVP, Cortland Finnegan, who was a lockdown cornerback that got in people's heads, got his tail whooped. But
got it. Andre Johnson did a little bit too much.
Andre Johnson got sick of his mess, didn't he? But so I'm going to kind of lump, the running backs in there together. I can't pick a favorite out of them guys, man. Eddie George was a staple workhorse. He's the one that you go watch clips of. People forget that the Baltimore Ravens, when we were in y'all's division and stuff, those rivalries between us and y'all and us in Baltimore were fierce.
Yeah, fierce. You're right.
Especially when we played Baltimore, because it was always Ray Lewis and Eddie George. And it's funny because if you go look at the highlights, there's not many running backs that have highlights running over Ray Lewis, but Eddie George does. And not only does Eddie George have them, so does Steve McNair. And Steve McNair would actually run head up against those dudes. And I can remember very well that he used to say, Ray Lewis used to always say, you're going to be on my team one day. He used to always say that he was going to play with Steve McNair. And Steve McNair was going to be a Tennessee Titan. And he used to say it about him and Derek Mason. And both of them ended up in Baltimore before their career ended.
What did you think when McNair signed with the Ravens?
I could not believe it. But it's almost that we knew, because no franchise other than you guys, knew Tennessee and how they played more than Baltimore. Yeah. And Baltimore knew there's something about these guys that when you play them, they're going to beat you up. I mean, Steve McNair, we're talking about playing hurt. That man played with turf toe, with pulled groin, broke ribs. I mean, he was running the football and diving for end zones with broken ribs. So we talk about, at the end of the day, a lot of people would probably tell you that overall their favorite Titan would have been Steve McNair. Steve McNair was the guy that just led us to that Super Bowl. Incredible football player, great years there. And then, like you said, he ended up in Baltimore with our rivals, him and Derek Mason.
You always would have thought when that happened, and I know a lot of people were saying when that happened, he's coming over there, Baltimore got to be the favorite. But between injuries and whatever else happened over there at Baltimore, it never panned out the way everybody thought it would.
Right, exactly.
Which I was happy. I was happy about that. There was one Monday night game. We lit McNair. James Harrison lit McNair up over and over again. And Harrison
he went through it. He went through it against y'all in Baltimore.
McNair was tough. Like you said, McNair was tough. But going back to the running back deal, out of those four, and I love Chris Johnson to death. I do. He's an ECU Pirate. I'll say today he's one of the best that's ever played at ECU. But if I'm picking one of those running backs, I got to go with Campbell. Because you talk about that offensive line. But let me tell you this. Earl Campbell put as much punishment on linebackers, defensive backs, whoever, as any offensive lineman did for the Oilers back in the day.
He was bad.
He was a house. I mean, I even to this day, there's a website you can go to and watch most of the old Steelers games, and going back and watching those Oilers games.
Yeah.
How big that man is and how fast he is to be that
big. He
was. And one person wasn't going to bring him down. There's always, as a kid, one year for Christmas, they gave me a video. It was the highlights of the 79 season. and it was all because the Steelers won the Super Bowl against the Rams that year.
Mm-hmm.
But there was a game the Oilers played against the Raiders, and I don't know if you remember this guy the Raiders had named Jack Tatum.
Oh yeah,
one of the fiercest hitters ever. He wrote a book called "They Called Me Assassin." He was dirty. He was dirty, but Earl Campbell breaks around the line right at the goal line. Tatum comes up and puts a shot on him. Campbell goes back a little bit, kind of moves to the side a little bit, and goes in the end zone. Like he falls in the end zone, but that shot would have took out most running backs. And
I have to agree with you. If I had to rate the four, it would be Earl Campbell, Derrick Henry, because Derrick Henry is another Earl Campbell. Let's face it, the dude is a beast. And what's funny is he's still doing it. I mean, the dude is amazing.
Another one that's going to Baltimore too, dude. What are y'all doing? What are y'all letting all these guys go to Baltimore?
It's crazy, man. And then it would be, of course, it'd be Eddie George because of him being, and then Chris Johnson. And only reason I don't put Chris Johnson at the top, and that's why I said it's hard for me to do, because he was insane, but he didn't play as many years with us as the other guys. So it was 5-year, span there. And we got the most out of Chris, those years. But, people wonder why Eddie George, but all you got to do is go back and watch how Eddie George had to run the football to play back then. Like you said, he was playing against a totally different mindset of defenses too. He was playing against Pittsburgh and Baltimore in a time when you guys were nasty.
Yeah.
I mean, nasty. You had Troy Polamalu. You had James Harrison. I mean, James Harrison to this day is probably stronger than 99% of defensive linemen in the NFL. That dude is a monster.
Works harder than most of the NFL players do right now.
And to see him the way he is now makes me appreciate who he was more then. Because in his youth, that man was unbelievable.
To come from not being drafted and cut so many times, cut by Baltimore, cut by Pittsburgh, and then catch on with Pittsburgh finally.
And then come in and just so Eddie, Eddie was never flashy, but he was dependable. And he had 4 straight seasons over 1,300 yards. So Eddie was a workhorse. That's all it was. He was a guy that you could give the ball to him and he was going to run the ball. He was going to fall 2 yards every time. He was going to get those yards for you. But skipping over now from those guys, I think I'd probably have to go with Javon Curse, the freak. You got to mention him, and of course Keith Bullock. Keith Bullock was our staple for many, many years. That's That is a player, a linebacker that a lot of people don't talk about how great he really was, but was amazing. Led the Tennessee Titans for many years in the early 2000s, and our greatest days in defense. And Bullock, you had Bullock and Curse, and then you had Cortland Finnegan. Cortland Finnegan was a name that I can't go without mentioning, and he's not going to be considered necessarily a Titans great, but he was one of those guys. Cortland. You know him because you watched it. He was one of those guys that wide receivers just didn't like playing against him. It was like, dude, this guy's annoying. He's going to stop you. He's going to get on your nerves, and, but so those would be some of my, the biggest mentions as far as that. Then you got some of the honorable mentions would be like Jarrell Casey, big Jarrell Casey before he left, Derek Mason, awesome tight wide receiver that eventually went to Baltimore and played really good football in Baltimore. Then you had Blaine Bishop, that was another defensive back, and probably one of my favorite honorable mentions is Samari Rolle. Samari Rolle, defensive back, Tennessee. He was one of those ones that every time he'd get a play. Back in the day, Tennessee would play that song, "Everybody get your roll on." Everybody get your roll on. He would make a big play, and they would play that every time Samari Rolle would make a play. And then probably the last name on offense that that I could mention from back in, the classical days would be Yancey Thigpen.
Oh yeah, former Steeler. And
Yep.
right down the road from us too.
Yep, from right down the road.
Yeah, he was in.
I got to mention Yancey, man. He was a former Steeler, and like you said, he's right down the road. In Yancey, and Yancey played good football for Tennessee.
Yeah. He had a good year with us. That Super Bowl year when we went Super Bowl 30 against the Cowboys and lost, and then the next year he had a really good year. But I don't know why we let him get away. That's always me. There was a lot of – well, I know one reason, especially back then, one of my biggest problems I had with Pittsburgh over the years, getting into that when we got those good teams in the 90s again, and we started building. There was guys they let go that they let get away because they were trying to pay guys like they did in the 70s.
Yeah,
pay guys the money, and I mean, not saying Neil O'Donnell should have come back for Pittsburgh after Super Bowl 30 because never mind. But you had a big offensive lineman, Leon Searcy, who left to go to Jacksonville, where we could have had him back. I mean, it was, that's some of my frustration with the Steelers front office over the years. But that's another story for another time.
Yeah, I can share that.
Some of the other guys, I think about Lorenzo Neal, big bullish fullback.
Matter of fact, you're right. That's another name that Lorenzo Neal was probably one of the last of the good fullbacks.
Yes.
I don't know after Lorenzo who could be a fullback that we could name. I don't know. I really don't. You're right, Stevie. That's a good mention too, because
he played with the Chargers after.
Yeah, and was incredible for the Chargers, man.
Yeah. Then you go back and look at to the House of Pain days. Haywood Jeffries, Drew Hill, Ernest Givens. That wide receiver tandem back then. They gave a lot of teams a lot of sleepless nights with Jerry Glanville as the coach. Yep. Let's see, who else am I thinking about it in that day and time? Here's one that Pittsburgh absolutely beat in the ground, but I had to respect him because he kept on coming back. And this is probably before your time. Dan Pastorini, the quarterback.
I know the name. Ooh. I know the name.
But He was good, but Pittsburgh would absolutely put a beating on him.
Beat him up.
If you go and watch that AFC Championship game in '79, he kept getting up. And I'm like, God, no, this guy.
He's tough.
Not big. He wasn't big either, but he was tough.
And you're right about that too, Steve. I mean, we got bullied quite a bit before Warren Moon days. We were. Yeah. We get pushed around pretty good until Warren Moon and Earl Campbell and that line, started coming to be. Then they became a football team, and it's like, okay, this team can beat you. You better watch out.
Warren Moon and those guys, but I'll say this about that era team that you guys had with the Oilers. As talented as they were, they could self-destruct.
Oh yes.
Just look at the Buffalo playoff game. And I know that's one that you don't like to hear about, but man, I remember watching that day. And I, as a kid, I'm sitting there watching, and it gets so out of hand. I'll go outside and do something, and come back in, and I'll look at it. I'm like, what the heck has happened? And just self-destruction.
Yeah, that's been a problem with us for many years, though. Yeah. It's just been something with us. It's like, it's always been something to stop us from getting there, man. It's like an omen or something, 1 yard from a Super Bowl. And there's always been many things. I mean, we've battled y'all in Baltimore in the playoffs so many times over the years, and Mike would beat y'all and then lose to Baltimore, or beat Baltimore and then lose to y'all. You know, we've always had to battle you guys, man. And
I'll say this: the last time I think we played you guys in the playoffs, your kicker did a heck of an acting job to get another try at that field goal, because I think Dwayne Washington grazes him. And kicker's name is. He turns. I mean, he's just looking like he's about to die. I'm like, oh my gosh, which it is what it is. That's what they're paid to do. So, but yeah, that's some good memories going back in the day. Well, I know we've kept you here for almost 2 hours, dude. So we're gonna let you go, but we definitely got to have you back on here, talk some football and other stuff.
Yes, sir. It's been fun. I've enjoyed it.
You're big over there at Herb County with their athletic program. You're the voice out there. I think you're still the voice out there at the stadium.
Yeah, I still do the football and basketball.
Okay, so you guys get out to a Herb County game. Look for Casey out there. Appreciate you coming on, dude. And like I said, we'll definitely have you back on. And maybe when I get to the AFC South preview, we'll have to have you on and talk about what you think about that division.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
All right, guys, that's going to do it for the final score this week. Casey, thank you as always, buddy. And
you too, buddy.
We'll see you next time on the final score. You guys have a great week.
All right, Stevie. Thanks, bud.